This bird is a miracle, a genetic bottleneck survivor, a military-grade reintroduction success, and now, well, some people are saying they're becoming a problem. The Red Kite is the face of British conservation. They are the ultimate comeback kid, but the story of how they got here is wilder than you might think. It involves secret locations, jets from Spain, and a population that once fit inside a single farmhouse kitchen. Today we are doing a complete deep dive on the Red Kite. We're breaking down this video into 4 distinct chapters. Part 1, the decline, how we wiped them out, and how the terrified handful survived in Wales. Part 2, the return, the massive logistical operation to bring them back. I've got the specific numbers on every release site. Part 3, the success and where we are today. And Part 4, the new problem, why feeding these birds in your garden might actually be hurting them. So make sure to stick around to the end and let's get into it. To understand how special Willow is, you have to understand how close we came to losing them. In medieval Britain, red kites were everywhere. They were the street cleaners of London, and Shakespeare even wrote about them in The Winter's Tale, warning people to look to the lesser linen because red kites would steal underwear off the washing line to build their nests. But 2 things happened. Hygiene improved and the attitude changed. By the 16th century, they were labelled as vermin. A bounty was put on their heads, and by the Victorian era, gamekeepers and egg collectors had wiped them out of England and Scotland completely. By the 1930s, the entire UK population was pushed into the remote valleys of central Wales, and the numbers were terrifying. We aren't talking about thousands, we're talking about a confirmed population that dropped to single figures. Some records suggest there were only 2 breeding pairs left. And here is a fact that blows my mind. Genetic research has confirmed that the entire surviving Welsh population was descended from 1 single female bird. That is how close we came. 1 female away from extinction in Britain. For decades, a secret kite committee guarded these nests with military secrecy, just trying to keep that single female's bloodline alive. By 1989, the Welsh birds were safe, but they weren't spreading fast enough, so the RSPB and Natural England launched what I call the Great Import. They couldn't take birds from Wales, they were still too fragile, so they looked to Europe. Now, I want to be specific about the numbers here, because there is a difference between birds we imported and the birds we moved. Phase 1, the imports. 1989 to 1994. We imported roughly 290 birds to kickstart that population. The Chilterns we flew in 93 birds from Spain and Sweden. The Black Isle in Scotland we flew 93 birds from Sweden. In central Scotland we later brought in 103 birds from East Germany. This is where it gets local. The Spanish birds in the south bred so well they became a donor population. We didn't need to go to Spain anymore. In 1999, the project moved to the Harewood Estate, just near Leeds. Over several years they released 68 birds there, and guess where the birds came from? They were brought up from the Chilterns. So, the kites you see flying over Yorkshire now are technically Southerners. We also released birds in Northamptonshire. We released 70 birds there. Gateshead was 94 birds. Dumfries and Galloway released 104 birds. And in Aberdeen they released 101 birds. In total, nearly 900 birds were released across the UK. It was a massive conservation jigsaw puzzle. So, did it work? Well, absolutely. From that 1 female in Wales, and those over 200 European pioneers, we now have an estimated 4,000 to 6,000 pairs in the UK. The UK now holds roughly 15% of the entire world population of red kites, which, if you think about the size of the UK, that is huge. And just look at her. Red kites have over a 5-foot wingspan, but she only weighs about a kilo, so the same as a bag of sugar. That's why they can hang in the air over a valley for hours without flapping. They are built for efficiency and not speed. The population of kites now in Spain is declining, so some of our UK kites have actually been shipped back to Spain to try and help the population over there. But success brings its own problems, and that brings us to the controversial part of this video. Because they are so common and because they are scavengers, people love to feed them. You see them in gardens all over Reading and the Chilterns. People throw out cooked chicken, pieces of ham, and even supermarket mince. I get it, it is amazing to see this bird swoop down in your garden so close to humans, but from someone who understands these birds deeply, I need to tell you, please, please stop. One of the biggest problems with kites nowadays is because people feed them. They're actually becoming a pest. They're literally swooping on people as they're having their picnics. Literally, they're so opportunistic. I can hold just a random piece of chicken here, and their feet to eye coordination is that good that they can just swipe it as they're flying and actually eat the food on the wing. Not quite, madam. So kites are built to grab food as they're flying. So the fact people have fed them in the gardens, on the garage roofs, or what have you, kites are now associating human beings with a source of food. So it's quite a problem. And essentially you get in such a tight-knit group of kites now that's just not natural. You're supposed to have a pair of kites occupy a few square kilometres for a territory at minimum. Whereas now in some parts of like Oxfordshire and Cambridgeshire and Hertfordshire, you're getting kites in almost just gull level, so almost the same as the gulls at the seaside. So yeah, they're just not living a natural life. The best solution is just to leave them alone. Obviously nature would sustain itself. If there's not enough food to sustain the kites, they'd start spreading further and further, and that's why you're getting these heat maps of kites in such tight-knit close areas rather than, you know, in big, rather than spread out around the country. Eventually they will fill in the gaps, but yeah, we just need to leave them alone. Otherwise we're going to call for putting a cull on the kites again. You know, we did it once in history, but the issue is we don't want to repeat itself. But they are an absolutely incredible species, and the fact that they can literally, where is she, grab food as they're flying and eat it on the wing is amazing. But obviously when you have 8 talons like they do, and you're coming very, very close to people's faces, with Willow here, I expect when she's coming past, so I can position myself that she's not going to grab me. But yeah, we just need to leave them alone and let them find their own natural balance like they should do. The return of the red kite is arguably the greatest wildlife success story in British history. We brought them back from a ghost story to now a daily reality. When you look at Willow and other red kites, you're looking at survivors. All we need to do now is respect them as wild birds and not as garden pets. If you enjoyed this deep dive and you want to see Willow flying free without any supermarket ham in sight, please check out this video here. And don't forget to subscribe to SMJ Falconry, and we'll see you in the next one.